guys, welcome back to the Hardman Podcast. My name is Tate Taylor. I'm here with Pastor Ethan Sin. Just got out of school. Today was, you guys have one more day tomorrow.
One more day, yeah. 4-day school week. But yeah, it's been going great.
Awesome. So the reason for no cold open on this one is that we're actually just kind of responding to some viewer questions. Basically, we've had a bunch of people who have been longtime listeners of the show kind of message us and go, all right, where did Eric go? Like, what happened to Eric? Who are you guys? Where'd you come from? And so we kind of wanted to respond to some of that and kind of explain who we are, how we came about this.
Give some background,
Yeah.
just like get to know us a little bit. Obviously, we know each other really well, but this is going to be fun because we have a couple like background, like how long you've been married, how many kids you have, stuff like that. And then we asked our wives to write questions. So they wrote a series of questions that I think are going to be really interesting. So we'll get into that as soon as we kind of do the background stuff.
They were extremely thorough
Yeah.
in this task. We were like, hey, what do you think about this?
It's like
and they like took it and actually they may have even come up with the idea of doing the questions. I can't remember.
They're like, hey, we'll write the questions for you.
Yeah.
It's like a psych eval.
Yeah. Yeah, so it should be good. But let's kind of do some of that basic background stuff. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with them. How long you been married? How'd you meet your wife?
Met my wife right before I graduated high school. We are from the same really small area, or a really small town area, rural area in East Texas. She lived right down the road growing up, like 12, 13 miles. We didn't really know each other. We knew of each other up until late in our senior year of high school, met each other through some mutual friends and started hanging out and then started dating basically going into our freshman year of college. We have been married 8 years as of the beginning of September, actually. So just had our 8-year anniversary.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Same question. We got married in 2014. We met, we were both at the same school in Colorado, the Air Force Academy. We met on a ski trip when I was a senior and she was a junior. We would have got married right away, but we had to wait for her to graduate. So we've been married since 2014. So, kids.
I've got two. We have a 6-year-old girl and a 3-year-old boy. Our 6-year-old girl just started her first year at St. Brennan's.
Has she been enjoying it?
She loves it.
Yeah.
She really looks forward to it. She'll get home and do little writing projects, and most of them center around how much she enjoys school. So we've been really, really thrilled so far.
That's great. Yeah, that's good to hear.
Quick funny story. She came home like first week and she was writing her alphabet, and she was writing this letter that we couldn't figure out what she was trying to write. And it was like a G or an S, we were like going back and forth. And I'm like, I don't know what she's. And then we finally figured out she's actually writing Greek.
Greek alphabet.
And neither of us know Greek. And we're like, oh wow, like this is gonna be fun. Like the longer we get into this, and the more she outstrips us in just knowledge about almost everything. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So, anyways,
no, that's been the great thing about the school is like even teaching the boys right now. We're in the ancient period, like going through like books I've never read, and I'm reading them ahead of time to be able to teach them. But you know, just some of these Roman histories and it's really, really good stuff. Like it makes a ton of sense. It's really interesting reading, but stuff that I never have read before, never knew existed or had a reason to. So it's been really cool. Our kids are definitely going to outpace us on that front.
Oh yeah. The boys, we just wrapped up the boys lifting. They talk about stuff constantly that I don't have any idea what they're talking about, but it's fun.
I've got 5 kids. I've got an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and our youngest is 11 months. She'll be 1 in November, and 3 boys and two girls, and then the oldest 2 are at St. Brennan's as well, 1st grade and 3rd grade. So that's been fun to have them in the same class.
Yeah. Layla was really excited about getting to be in school with your 2 oldest. So that's really cool too, to get to see them. You know, we've talked about these overlapping spheres a lot recently. Your work, your sort of like leisure time, and your church, and how those things tend to overlap. And if you can get that Venn diagram to overlap as much as humanly possible, that's going to be best. And to see that already start to kind of play out in our kids' lives is really cool.
Yeah, it's cool that they're like genuinely friends with each other, and they ask about when are we going to hang out, when are we going to have dinner, and you know they know the answer. It's today.
Typically.
So theological background. Were you raised in the church? What's that journey been like for you?
Yeah.
Always been this based.
Yeah, forever. No, not at all. I was raised in Southern Baptist Church in East Texas. My grandparents and some cousins of mine and things like that are still there. Been there for a really long time. Was raised in that church. My parents actually came to, for sure, Calvinistic theology. I think we probably used the term Reformed, but we weren't really Reformed yet. We were really just working through soteriology and the sovereignty of God. When I was in late elementary, early middle school, somewhere in that area. So I was exposed to that really early and came to that conviction. Probably the first like Christian conviction that I came to was Calvinistic soteriology.
What was the catalyst for that? Was it some kind of church or teaching or Sunday school or Bible study or do you know?
I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was around the time that MacArthur and especially Sproul started doing more media stuff, and you could see them, you know, without ever having to go to their churches. I remember watching a lot of Sproul stuff, a lot of Piper stuff, Paul Washer, that whole kind of like Reformed movement when I was in like middle school age. So we didn't end up staying there. It was the church we were in was not at all receptive to the Calvinistic soteriology, and it kind of
many such cases
became an issue, and it eventually we left and didn't continue to go there. But there's been a bunch of ups and downs, and you know, backsliding and all kinds of things since then. The move towards this kind of like refuge theology started probably 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago. And it's pretty funny. One of the first things that was the catalyst for this was actually this podcast, which is really strange for me now to like sit in this room and be recording it. But a friend of my dad's actually sent him Eric talking on Hardman. I don't even think he was in Ogden yet. So it was really early days Hardman podcast. And his buddy isn't like a Reformed guy or anything, but he just kind of like, he liked the vibe of it, I guess. And he sent it to my dad and was like, hey, this seems like something you might like. And then we sort of were off to the races from there.
I had lunch with a guy today who's kind of a local guy, and he somehow found the podcast, liked what was going on, or like, man, I want to build a band of brothers and things like that. And then he looks down and is like, oh, that's in Ogden. Like, and so that was another, like, he came down and we had lunch, and it was really good. So that's, it's really cool how those things work out. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Kind of similar. I grew up in Maryland. We attended a small rural United Methodist church till I was in high school. Kind of inherited the faith that my parents inherited. Like, we're in church every Sunday, and it was a central part of the life. Youth group, parents sang in the choir, you know, kind of stuff. And then went to college in Colorado. I attended like more Big Eva type churches at that point. And then I distinctly remember I was in Oklahoma in pilot training, and I had a conversation in the pilot bar with one of my friends. He was my freshman roommate, and he's telling me about how he's a Calvinist. And the only thing I'd ever been taught about Calvinism was it's fatalism. And I'm like, dude, that's heresy. And then, you know, fast forward, we got introduced to R.C. Sproul, Foundations, really like pivotal series for us. We watched through all 60 episodes and like, no, there's nothing that I can really argue with with R.C. Like, obviously this is very biblical, and that kind of got us started on that journey. So I think that was, you know, really pivotal for me and my wife, and when we were first married. And then, you know, things went from there, but that was the first introduction I had to the doctrines of grace. And
yeah, it's funny. We have a bunch of similarities, but that's one of the ones that I find most interesting is that things tend to trace back to, we were talking to Sam Brock about this the other day too, but things tend to trace back to guys like R.C. Sproul, who just had this incredible impact on this particular portion of Christendom.
Yeah, and just the technology and the ability that he taught a series like probably once in the 90s. I mean, he's probably taught it, you know, dozens of times, but it's recorded, it's on the internet, and now like hundreds of thousands of millions of people probably have seen it and have been influenced by him. And I think we have the ability to reach so many people, even long after they're gone, still having impacts. And it's just really important work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So growing up, hobbies, sports, what were you into?
It was kind of everything. I went to a small school in East Texas. So sports is massive, especially football. So started baseball, at T-ball age before I can really even remember it. Started soccer really, really early. Then started playing tackle football in the first grade. I actually played flag football when I was in kindergarten. Started playing tackle football in the first grade and didn't stop until I was a sophomore in college. So whatever that was, 14 years of tackle football, played baseball all the way through school, played basketball, little league, all the way to, I think, my sophomore year of high school. Ran track, powerlifted, did all the stuff.
Yeah.
That was most of my life. I mean, we went fishing and camping. My dad rode mountain bikes. So we would go do stuff like that. He raced. So we went camping a lot of outdoor stuff, but most of my young life was, ball sports for the most part.
What positions were you playing?
Oh man.
In high school, if you
yeah, just about everything. I had he's actually my brother-in-law, by marriage, which is kind of funny, but there's a kid right above me in school, in age, who was a quarterback, and, I was the year younger. Some years when we were on the same team, and though, we overlapped, he would play quarterback, other years I would play quarterback, but it was kind of an on and off. Like one year I'd play quarterback, the next year I'd play running back or receiver or something like that on offense. I always played linebacker on defense. And, I did that all the way until I got to college. And the first year, I think, that I was just like a running back was in college. And I didn't play quarterback or receiver or something like that.
Not playing both ways. You're not on all the special teams.
Right. Yeah.
Similar. I played, basketball, baseball growing up, little league stuff. In high school, I played football, baseball. When I was in 10th grade, I started playing lacrosse. They told me it was like the only time that you can hit somebody with a metal pole and not go to jail. So it was kind of like a lot of the football players would play lacrosse, but that was fun. And then in college, I walked on the football team. In preseason, I broke my collarbone. And I had done a year in between high school and college in Missouri. And so I hadn't played football for a year. And I was like crossing route, safety hits me. We're like half pads in like preseason practice. And I hit the ground and I get up and like, that hurt. Like I haven't been hit in a while. Like I don't remember it hurting this bad.
Yeah.
And the trainer like puts his hand under my pads like, son, you broke your collarbone.
That's why it hurt so bad.
And it was like shattered in like 9 pieces. They put a plate in. But that kind of ended my football career. And to be honest with you, I don't think I would have made it academically if I had to play Division I sport in college as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was at a Division III school, but I remember trying to, it was a pretty stringent academic school. And so the academic side was pretty challenging, and trying to balance practice and film and games and study was a full-time job. I mean, it was nonstop. So making the decision to stop playing after however many years was actually, it was like, I was kind of floating a little bit. I was like, man, this is kind of awesome actually.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's definitely a different thing, or it was in college, where up through high school, your coaches really know you and love you. If you have good coaches and they care about you, and in college, it's run kind of like a business where if you're not the guy, there's like 9 other guys in the depth chart behind you, and like good luck, and so it's a different experience. Yeah,
for sure. That was one of the biggest influences in stopping for me, was that I had come from rural East Texas football that was very like Friday Night Lights-esque. Everyone knew everyone, away games, the whole town leaves, and, whoever's last turns the lights off on the way out kind of thing. And we were a good team in high school. We won a lot of games, and it was a blast. Played with my best friends. The coaching staff had been there since I was a freshman, so we knew all the guys. They knew us. And then I got to college, and it was a Texas school, but the entire coaching staff had just been hired from, I think, Illinois or something like that. And it was just a completely different feel. And even if you were the number 1 guy on the depth chart, like I was the first through third down back, he was like, our head coach was still just like a strange guy. Like there's no relationship there.
Yeah.
It was just very odd. I hated having to come off the field when momentum shifts happened.
Yeah.
It was very weird for me. And I missed high school ball really.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a unique thing. Yeah. So after that, I played rugby for a year. I got a couple of concussions and didn't want to lose my qualification. And so stopped doing that. And then for the last couple of years, just skied and golf recreationally. So
nice.
That was fun. You were a ski instructor in Colorado.
Yeah. Kind of funny actually. After that year of football in college, I kind of piddled around for a year and couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. Took some online classes and stuff, but nothing that was headed in any particular direction. And then I was like, I would love to go be a ski instructor and just do something. I just wanted to go to the mountains and do something different than, live the stereotypical Texas life, I guess. And so I moved to Keystone, Colorado, and was a ski instructor there, which is actually where you and Paige met.
Yeah,
right?
same resort.
Yeah, really, really pretty crazy. What year was it?
We met in like January of 13.
Okay. I moved there in the fall of 2015. So it was close to overlapping, honestly. But yeah, I worked there for 2 seasons. I did some other random stuff in between during the summers, landscaping, worked at a marina, that kind of stuff. But that was kind of what I was doing during my like quote unquote college years.
Did the ski instructor ski bum hair come first? Or did you grow that out and then become a ski bum? Yeah,
I actually had ski bum hair when I was playing running back in college. I just took it with me when I went to Colorado. So
they hired you right away.
Yeah, they hired me over the phone, which was pretty crazy.
So with college, where'd you go? What'd you study?
I went to Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas. I was just doing general studies. Never went and got a degree. Haven't ever gone and finished any of it up, honestly. I kind of despised standard school stuff. I really enjoy reading and like learning new things if I'm interested in it. But the whole hoop jumping stuff was just always really difficult for me.
Yeah.
And so I never finished any of it. But while I was there, Southwestern is actually really close to where Joel Evans Church is there in Georgetown, Texas. It's the number 2 academic school in the state of Texas behind Rice. So pretty high standards as far as academics go. And I did fine while I was there, but not something I really enjoyed very much.
Yeah. I went to the Air Force Academy. I was in a systems engineering management program. And the only reason I picked that was I thought I want to go to pilot training. You didn't need 2 years of a language and you didn't need Calc 3. And I thought that was like right down the middle.
That's the lane I need to be in.
And then they shortly canceled that program after I graduated. But yeah, after that, while I was active duty, I did seminary online at Southern. And then after that, I did some THM work at Puritan. Really liked that school. Really pretty solid, really academically rigorous. Definitely recommend it for people looking for seminary type education.
Awesome.
So after college, after Keystone, what else has your kind of career path look like? How'd you end up here?
Yeah, that's a good question. After Keystone, what happened is my wife and I got married and then found out that she would need to be a full-time employee for us to continue living where we were living with the resort. And we didn't want to do that. And so we ended up moving back to Texas. We lived in Tyler, and I worked for a supplement store there, managed the store for, I don't know, year and a half, something like that. Did some other really dumb stuff. Ended up working for, just because I was like, I've got to get a paycheck. Ended up working for a pipeline construction company, basically doing paperwork stuff, admin stuff for them. I was on job sites, but I was mainly keeping up with paperwork stuff, hours, that kind of thing. And then basically we finished a project that we were working on down the road from where my grandparents live. And we were building a house at the time on some family land and found out that this guy who was supposed to be one of the guys who was taking over this project, we had finished it. It was done. The construction was finished. And now they needed to go into operation. One of their operators just like no call, no show, got mad at somebody and never showed up. And so one of the guys who was an engineer for them walked into our office one morning and was like, anybody want a job that's going to be right here for a while? And I was like, yes, I do. And luckily I knew the guy. So got a job there. That was for a third party company, ended up working for Atmos Energy doing natural gas storage stuff there in East Texas. And I worked there until we moved here in at the end of May 2024. So
that's awesome. After college, I moved to Enid, Oklahoma. I did pilot training at Vance Air Force Base. Then I went to Texas, Wichita Falls to do introduction of fighter fundamentals. And then I did my B course and first operational assignment in Tucson in the A-10. From there, we were there about 4 years, and then went to Mississippi where I taught that course. And then had exit with the Air Force because of COVID. Huge blessing. They gave us the ability to move out here. We've been out here for about 3 years now. Before I started full-time here, we started a precious metal business, did consulting for small businesses, and then got asked to start full-time here at NCP and at the church. And then since November, I've been teaching high school. So short version.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of come on just here recently with NCP. Eric and I knew each other before I moved here, just via, Instagram, basically. I don't even think he's on Instagram anymore, but that's where we sort of like started communicating, and came to the first conference out here, was here for that, met a bunch of the guys at that and got to hang out with them. Really, really loved it. Loved the scenery. And I was really excited about the mountains here. And that was kind of what ended up being the nail in the coffin. I love that this was a team of guys. I love the area. Obviously, I don't have any theological qualms or issues with anything that the guys here are leading in and promoting. And so, when we had a chance to move, this is where we wanted to come. And pretty quickly after I got here, Eric was like, "Hey, would you want to come on the podcast?" We ended up talking about ultra running or something. That's another one.
We both a while ago did a couple on kind of some more background stuff. So
he basically interviewed us.
Yeah. And I think that was like late 24,
somewhere in there, like fall of last year.
Yeah. So those are on there if you want some more information.
Yeah.
Last question, and then we'll get into the
fun stuff.
The fun stuff. What are your roles at Refuge?
Roles at Refuge. So I am just wrapping up the Churchmen's Guild. We just had our graduation last Saturday, actually. I'll be starting the Deacon Guild in October. Hopefully be moving towards deacon candidacy here at Refuge. I'm involved in a bunch of other stuff, book club stuff. Obviously, the guild takes up a good bit of time. Looking like might be working with security team here soon, hopefully. But there's a lot of things. I don't know.
Boys Lift. There's so many things.
There's so many things. Involved with Titus 2 stuff. Yeah. Boys Lift with us. We all the way down to we bring communion bread on Sunday mornings. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Sports stuff. Basketball seasons, football season going on right now. There's countless. I mean, I'm sure we're forgetting 2 or 3 dozen things.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And then same question.
Yours should be super quick, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's only a couple things, but I'm a pastor at Refuge. I teach the boys high school, run Titus 2. I lead the St. George's Guild or leadership development program for the church. But all that stuff involved in parish management, counseling, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of just depends on the day.
So just here recently, you took over Pastor Khan's parish. I'm kind of the number 2 that kind of helps with some of the admin stuff in the parish. Perfect example of we're around each other working on similar projects a lot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, first question. Give 10 words of affirmation to your wife.
Did you add that?
I wrote that.
I was like, there's no way.
All right, but for real, when was the last time you cried? I'm just kidding. That one.
Actually, I can't, if you had asked me that 4 weeks ago, I would have no idea.
Yeah.
But the last time I cried, in all honesty, was watching Charlie Kirk's wife give her speech right after. I think it was the day or 2 after that.
Yeah.
Pretty angry.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before that, I have absolutely no idea.
All right. First real question. What's a memory of the hardest challenge you faced in sports?
Do you have something that immediately comes to mind when you look at this?
I had a couple that I thought of. One, like I remember in high school, played on like a pretty small 3A team. I think our best record whenever I was on varsity was like 4-6. But I remember like 2 days, summer lifting, that where you're like doing a lot of running and things like that, like just almost running to puke. And like, I remember having new like tennis shoes and like trying to like not throw up on my new tennis shoes. coach is laughing at me and like stuff like that. I think people a lot of times like in the military will ask like, was basic hard or was pilot training, and like nothing I've done physically like can you compare to high school football? And I don't know, that's just one really, really fond memory. And I don't know if there's one thing in particular, cause it's kind of all encompassing. There's the lifting and the academic and film and physical, practice and all that kind of stuff. But I think that just kind of all encompassing memory is probably what I would say.
Yeah, I would have a similar answer. There was one season where I think I was a freshman and our varsity had just gotten a new coaching staff. So we were taking things a whole lot more seriously, and someone has to run scout team in a small school. So it ends up being the JV a lot of the time. So I got designated as the JV or like the scout team quarterback as a freshman. And basically the idea was they would change kids out when they would get hurt. If that kid breaks, we've got another kid that we'll put in there and run scout team. But I basically just ran scout team quarterback all season and got just destroyed to the point where like games were really easy
compared to playing
our varsity, 3 days a week. And that was really difficult. And for whatever reason that year, it's always really hot in that area of the country, especially in August. But that year it rained just an insane amount, and our practice field was just a giant slop hole. And so our practice cleats, I remember putting on my practice cleats like at the beginning of the week. You hadn't worn them in, it's been 4 days since you worn them, and putting them on and then just squishing water out of them before practice starts.
It's still wet, so humid.
And it was just horrible. The only thing that's come anywhere close to that is this year's ultra race. Honestly,
I imagine every year's ultra race.
The ultra races are tough. The first one was really difficult, but this year's it was a similar thing. It was a weather thing where the race had to be moved. We couldn't run it on the course that we normally run it on, and basically this race team just went out and cut this path through the woods in Central Texas in the hill country, and so there wasn't actually a trail. There was just sort of like a cleared lane through all that cedar scrub brush stuff, and it was miserable. I think the attrition rate of people that like didn't finish the race was close to half, and it's normally somewhere around 20%.
Yeah, significantly harder.
It was way harder than it normally is. I couldn't breathe really well for the last about 12 miles of the race, and so anytime I would go uphill, just couldn't get a full breath. And I remember finishing and thinking that I was in my right mind. And then I tried to talk to people and I couldn't put sentences together. I would like look at someone and be trying to talk, and then words just like wouldn't come out.
And you were like delirious.
Yeah. I was hallucinating, pretty close to hypothermic. That was, I guess that counts as like challenge faced in sports. It's not really like a ball sport, but it's difficult.
We'll count it. What's your favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal?
Ooh, the women in my family are really good at pastries. So there's usually like a pile of pies and cakes and things like that are always really good. My mother makes this sweet potato casserole that is basically dessert.
Is it marshmallows or pecans?
No marshmallows. There's pecans in it.
Yeah.
But is
it pecans or pecans?
I say pecans.
Pecans, yeah.
I know people that say pecans, but
pecans, what you keep under your bed.
I say pecans. But it's just drowning in like liquid butter. It's the best.
It's basically dessert.
Yeah. In all honesty, like I really like steak. I like beef. I even like chicken, but most of the time, turkey's just...
You don't like turkey?
I like it, but it's just really difficult to do well, I think.
It is. I like smoked turkey.
Yeah.
Like even if we go to a barbecue joint, like I will get I like smoked turkey that much. So I look forward to that at Thanksgiving. I have a memory from my childhood. One of my aunts made crab imperial stuffed mushrooms and like served them as an appetizer. So now I associate that with like a Thanksgiving, like something that should be at Thanksgiving, but it's really not.
Not a single person who's listening to this right now is like, that has anything to do with Thanksgiving.
We grew up in Maryland. Crab, we had a lot of crab, so I don't know. I try to get Paige to make them every year. But
I can't wait for Ben to listen to this portion of this episode.
All right, next one. This is kind of there's a setup here. They write, C.S. Lewis argues that all sin is rooted first in the sin of pride. And obviously the virtue opposite to pride is humility. According to Christian teachers, it's the essential vice. It's the utmost evil is pride. Unchastity, anger, greed, drunkenness, and all that are mere flea bites in comparison. It was through pride that the devil became the devil. Pride leads to every other vice. It's a complete anti-God state of mind. So I guess the question is, do you agree with that? That is the chief vice or the chief sin. They're all rooted in pride.
I would say that this is true as in a sense, like as far as it goes. Pride for sure, like selfish pride is the root of I think all sin. If you had no concept of yourself and objectivity was really an option, many of the things that we fall into and are tempted by simply wouldn't affect us. At the same time, you see Paul in the New Testament make several statements that are like righteously prideful. He's worked harder than all of the other apostles. Run the race. Brian just went through this in 1 Corinthians this week, like running the race with vigor for a prize, like as if you're going for the goal. And so I think there's a righteous kind of pride as well. But yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think this is kind of tied together with probably what's the most pernicious sin that we deal with every day is making God in our own image. Mm-hmm. This idolatry of making God in our own image, and that's this pride that we have that we think we can be more loving than God or we can be kinder than God, even though God said this, like, well, I think I can outlove God.
Yeah.
And it's really just making God in our own image, what we wish he would be. And I do think there are so many sins that are downstream of this, because even the ability, like, because we talk about pride and humility as being, the foil of each other. How hard is it to repent of these other sins if you're proud? Yeah. If you don't have humility. So I think killing pride is what Christians need to primarily focus on. Better relationships. You talk about obedience to those in authority. Like, pride is the antithesis of that. It's hard to submit to those in authority if you're proud and not humble. And I think this is just a product of our individualized and atomized society that thinks the individual is the basic unit of society, not the family.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, she asked, do you agree that the root of all virtue begins with humility? And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The ability to say this is not about me.
Yeah.
Is extremely important. Like, it's pivotal.
Yeah. And how do you see yourself clearly without humility?
Right. Yeah.
And then the second part of this one, he says, I think this is Lewis and Mere Christianity, but courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. So he's saying courage is not just one of the virtues. So prudence, justice, temperance, courage, or fortitude. Is it just one of the virtues, or is it the testing point of every other virtue?
I think I'm just going to say yes. Because we could just go on for an hour.
Yeah,
about this.
For sure. We got to move through it. But
I would agree with that.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of the other virtue, like things tend to be easy until they're tested.
Right.
Like things, it's easy to like make the right call sitting, at right here. Like, what would you do in this hypothetical situation? But then when it takes courage to stand up against somebody else, when it takes courage to defend that position, do the right thing in face of opposition, like that's where are you really going to be prudent? Are you really going to be just? When whatever the situation, like 12 Angry Men kind of thing. Like if you're 11-1, do you really have the courage to execute justice?
Right.
So
yeah, I think this is what people are actually talking about when they say like be a man of action. it's really easy in our current societal climate to be the person who's really courageous on Twitter or, behind a screen. But are you capable of actually doing that when there's a threat to you?
Yeah.
And there's examples of courage online for sure. But like, I think the more tangible reality of being able to live out your convictions regardless of the circumstances, that's all of that is being tested on courage.
Yeah, for sure. All right. What's something that you're glad you did or you accomplished, but never want to do again?
That's a good question. My wife and I were actually talking about this one. And when I think of accomplishments, I think of like very particular things that I can point to and go, oh, I won that, or there was some feat that I did. But my answer would probably be like, it sounds really cool to go be a ski instructor in Colorado and just kind of live like a vagabond for a little while. And like, I don't regret it, necessarily, but it's also not something that I ever want to go do again.
You're not going to go do it again. Different stage of life.
I don't want to go do that.
Would
like,
you
it was cool,
encourage a young man or somebody to do that? Or do you think it was maybe like a derailing from kind of your main?
That's a good question. I think for me, it took me off of the derailment. Okay. Like, I think I was already sort of on the derailment.
Yep.
And this was something that sort of removed me from the situation that I was in, the friend group that I had. Not that they were like terrible people or anything. We just weren't really headed anywhere.
Right.
And I think it actually ended up being a really big net positive for me. I think if you can do it rightly and it's rightly ordered, and the goal is to go seek some sort of adventure and gain some life experience outside of what you're used to, then I think that that's a good thing as long as it's rightly ordered.
Yeah. It's something that might be permissible for some people in certain situations, but like not a universal, like everybody has to go do.
Yeah. I think that's like the whole, I don't know, the idea that you've got to go sow your wild oats. Like, no, you don't have to be an idiot.
Yeah. Mine's easy. I hated every minute. I jumped out of an airplane 5 times. I hated every minute of it. I had to like throw myself out of it. It took all the courage I had in me. If there weren't like ladies who had just jumped out before with like no sweat, like I don't know if I could have done it. Like I absolutely hated it. It was terrible. I mean, and like, yeah, it's cool. Like when the parachute opens and you're like thanking God and you're like, didn't die today, but no, it was not fun. I did not enjoy that. Like hopefully never have to do that again.
People always assume that I like right after I run that race that I'm going to be like, I'm never doing this again. But that really usually isn't the case. Yeah. No, I you know what you're getting into, like, why you're there, you know, it's going to suck, but it's the feeling afterwards for like a month, like you feel awesome. You're like, do you think it'll happen this year? Or do you think you'll still be like healing the Achilles? Yeah, I'm just now back to the point where I can run like a mile without having to stop and walk. Just
so
because
it's just like 49 more, right? Like,
yeah, only 61 more. So probably not going to happen this year, but it's all right. This is Layla's first year of school. We need to be here for that. It takes a lot of time and energy, and not just for me, but for my entire family to go down there and run that race. So probably not going to happen this year, but
maybe the following year.
Yeah, maybe.
All right. If you could partake in one historical event, what would it be? And this is important, not spectate, AKA if you pick a war, you have the chance of dying.
The people who wrote these questions know us very well, apparently. What's your response on this one?
Oh, mine's easy. It'd be the moon landing. Do you want to know why?
Yeah, let's hear why.
I mean, it would be a quick trip down to a studio in Hollywood. It wouldn't take very long. And then I would go on a speaking tour to elementary schools like Buzz Aldrin and just tell the truth.
It never happened. Yeah, that is one option. Yeah, I don't know.
You're going to pass on this one?
Maybe. Right. I would need to give that more thought. So many things flash through my mind. Like, it's like, I don't know, the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, or like some sort of Roman event. Like the gap in, like, there's so many options that immediately spring to mind. I don't know.
And like, are you spectating it, or do you become Are you like one of the players?
Right.
Like, do you get a Super Bowl ring at the end of it? Like, I don't know.
Like if I say, I don't know, like the crucifixion of Christ, like, do I have to be a Roman soldier who's like nailing him to the tree?
Or like hopefully not a Jew who said his blood be on us and our children.
Or or like the thief that's hanging there next to him.
We need a lot more context. Well, which thief?
Exactly. Yeah. Who do I actually have to be? I don't know.
Yeah. We need a lot more context to answer that one, I think.
Yeah, maybe so.
We'll have to follow up.
Maybe we'll come back to it.
Where are you in your line of siblings, and how did that affect your personality or expectations for yourself?
I'm the firstborn. I have 2 younger siblings. They're both sisters. Yeah, I mean, I think pretty stereotypical firstborn, especially for a boy. I didn't have any brothers, which my dad was acutely aware of because he had 2, and he's the middle. And he was very aware of the fact that that makes you tougher, having brothers, and not having brothers, well, it's probably not going to make you tougher. And so, all of the high expectation stuff, all of the we've got to make you tough. You're gonna carry our name. This is important. This is who you are. This is how you have to act. All of that, but also the thing that comes along with that was a crazy amount of confidence and encouragement on their part. Like they literally have told me forever that I can literally do anything. And I, for the most part, haven't believed them, but it does start to rub off at some point. And I think this is actually really important for the whole like masculinity conversation. You can make your children more confident simply by encouraging them.
Yeah.
Because I was not a confident kid. At no point before the age of 10 would anyone have ever guessed that I was going to be on a podcast talking to people. My dad used to have to make me order my food at restaurants because I didn't want to talk to strangers. He was like, no, you're not getting food if you don't order your food. But like, it's because of all of the upbringing that I had that I was able to kind of adjust those things. So,
yeah. And I think what you're describing is that there's a difference between the high school guidance counselor that says like, oh, you're a straight F student. You can probably be a doctor or a lawyer. Like, you can do anything you want. And like encouraging you and then also equipping you, so there's the confidence, but it's not like a false confidence that you like, yeah, you can probably go to Harvard. Like, no, dude, like you're probably going to be digging dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what about you?
Firstborn, I have 2 younger brothers. We're about, 2 years apart. I looked this up. Everyone kind of had, I think they call it like, sibling order theory, but like there's like certain traits of firstborn and middle child and babies and things like that. But they say firstborns are reliable, conscientious, structured, cautious, controlling, sometimes seen as bossy. I don't know if
where did that
relate to that.
Can't relate to that at all.
Achievers, they want to excel at everything, bask in parents' attention. So
unfortunately,
I know there are videos when we were kids, like we had the camcorders, like we're talking about the other day. It took like the little VHS tape, and like my mom would be videotaping one of my baby brothers, and I would like take the camera and like
point at me, like pay attention to me.
Exactly. Have you ever taken a Myers-Briggs?
No.
A bunch of guys down here have taken them recently, but I'll skip that one. But maybe we should do it sometime and see where you
be curious if I landed in a similar spot. Oldest of 3 siblings.
What's an important lesson that you learned from your father?
Man, there's a lot. The first one that comes to mind, and the one that I probably talk about with people the most often, is I will never forget. It was one of those transitional periods where I was like, all right, you're not going to be one of the young guys anymore, but you're also not one of the old guys yet as far as football goes. In my high school, I had the physical capability to go ahead and move up and be a starter as a sophomore, but there were kids in front of me and they were just older. They had been there longer. They already had, a reputation and background behind them, and I didn't. And he was like, I don't know what they might want to do. The only thing I can tell you is that if you work hard enough during the week, they will be forced to go, we have to find somewhere to put him on the field. He's got to be on the field somewhere if you work hard enough. And that has been true in every arena I've ever been in. Yeah. It's like, if you work hard enough, the people who are running things will find a spot to put you.
Yeah.
Because that's just how things work.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the most important lesson that just comes up constantly.
It's kind of tied to like authority flows to those that take responsibility.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of times around here, people are like, how do I get involved? How do I do this? How do I become a deacon? And it's like, just do stuff and do it well. And people are going to look around and say like, oh man, that guy's reliable. That guy, always shows up on time. He does a really good job. And like, that's how it works. That's how it should work in a meritocracy.
Hard work is an acquired taste. It's not going to feel good at first. However, if you get used to carrying that load, you actually feel strange without it. And you start to become more accustomed to doing hard things and just being active, engaged. And I think that's a really important thing to realize, is that hard work is an acquired taste. It's probably not going to feel great at first, but pretty soon you're not going to know what to do without it.
Yeah, absolutely. First thing I thought of, probably because it was beaten into me so frequently, was he taught me the difference between perception and reality. I don't know if this is rings any bells, but like essentially like how people perceive you is not always the way that you are intended to be perceived, right? And it can work both ways, right? People can misinterpret, but it really puts the onus on the individual to say like, I need to make sure I'm coming across in the right way. Am I being respectful, or am I being, caring or loving or whatever? Like just because somebody's disposition may not be the most affectionate, you're not like off the hook to be like, well, I'm just not affectionate. Like the way people perceive you as indifferent or uncaring, like those things actually do matter. So it kind of forces you to take responsibility and get out of your like maybe comfort zone, and making sure that you're coming across in the way that you intend to come across.
Yeah. That particular skill of just being able to read people and understand how your words and actions are affecting them is a really good thing to work on. Being able to look at what you're doing while you're watching people analyze you and figure out the impact that it's having. It's a tough skill to develop. Some people are just really naturally good at it, but it's extremely important.
I think it's also helpful in the opposite direction in terms of Christian charity, because you can kind of like give somebody the benefit of the doubt and say, I don't think they meant to come across that way, and like thinking the best of people. So I think it's like helpful, especially when somebody else hasn't learned that lesson, helpful both on the individual to making sure you're coming across the way that you want to and being perceived the way that you mean to be, and also interpreting somebody else.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a favorite saying that you use all the time? The boys would probably say good stuff.
Good stuff. At the end of any workout, we'll do our push-ups, and that tends to get said a lot. The thing that sort of rings in my head a lot is, I don't remember when I came up with this, but I think I was like typing a caption for something on a post like years ago. But the phrase consistent tenacity, tenacious consistency has been something that's like, actually you can just dial them both to 11. Be the most tenacious in each effort, and also be able to replicate that effort over and over and over again. Comes right back to that thing that I just talked about with my dad, where like, if you work hard enough, they'll find a spot for you. Yeah, that's probably the thing that comes in my head the most often.
Yeah. Yeah. If the boys ask me, or if I ask the boys, they would say, if you deviate, communicate, right? Mm-hmm. If you're gonna do something different, you need to be talking to me, right? We have standards, we have these SOPs, we have expectations, and so if you can't meet that, you can't just like go radio silent, not tell me. Like, you need to communicate, hey, this isn't getting turned in on time, may have an extension because of this reason, things like that. There's one boy in particular that if you asked him the question, he would say, never miss an opportunity to shut the heck up. Which I learned that in pilot training, where like you're the lieutenant, you're the low man, and like it's a lot like the proverb, like the every fool who keeps silence considered wise, and then if you close your lips, you're deemed intelligent, or the Mark Twain one. Better
to do that than open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Exactly. Like, it's like there are certain times in your life where like you should think things and not say them.
Yeah.
And if more people did that, I think we'd all be better off.
Yeah. Yeah. He PR'd his bench press today, by the way. Yeah.
Nice.
He's getting a lot stronger.
It's really cool to see the dedication. Like, they don't have to go to lifting. Like nobody's making them do it, but
No.
like they're really excited about it. They look forward to it every day. And you've seen, I mean, it hasn't been going on that long, but we've seen significant improvement from nothing to like where we're at now.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a ton of progress.
Next question. What are some of your favorite ways to spend time as a family?
We really like, since we've been here, we really like going hiking because there's just a lot of areas around here where you can go find trails that there's not a lot of people on. And it's really pretty. We're used to the weather being pretty atrocious for most of the year.
Where you like don't want to be outside.
Where you don't want to be outside at all. Like you're getting in your vehicle and everything's burning you because you're having to put the seatbelt on and it's made out of metal and it's like singeing your hand. That kind of weather, or like frigid, miserable cold in the, during February or whatever. So probably going on drives and just looking at the views and enjoying sunset hikes, stuff like that. We do a lot of that. Here lately, we've been playing a whole bunch of tennis. So
that was what I was going to say is lately it's been tennis. I like every week I look at my calendar to see when I can like block off a couple hours, like invite everybody to show up and play tennis.
Yeah. The whole family's come. It's a lot of fun. There's kids running around everywhere. I mean, all of the difficulties that come with that are there too, making sure they're not running off and leaving or
hitting
fighting each other,
hitting somebody with a 4-iron. Like,
yeah, that kind of thing. Exactly.
My boys are always like almost every day. They're like, Dad, can we go golfing? Dad, can we go shooting? Like they want to do those things. That's not necessarily the whole family, but the boys like to go. Virgil, my youngest, he's 2, and he's like, Dad, if I behave, I get to go to men's camp. He doesn't know what men's camp is, but he really wants to go to it. And so, eventually we'll take him men's camping. Yeah. I think hospitality is another big one. We obviously have talked about that quite a bit, but it's something where once you start it, you actually begin to enjoy it and love it. Like it's not a chore. We do a lot of hospitality with our parish. All the families in our parish, like Monday nights are blocked off. And it's something we all genuinely look forward to is like spending time with people in our parish and our church. And something else. What would be the top character attribute for a newly married man to focus on?
I read this one, and the first thing that came to mind for me was patience. I think in most scenarios anyways, a newly married man is a younger guy. And so lots of life, lots of energy, and lots of zeal. And so it can be hard to temper that down and let things develop. And so probably patience with, a young wife who's learning how to be a wife, patience with your speech, with your rush to meet the standard that maybe the guys around you have. I think that's a common thing here is we have a bunch of guys who are really mature. They've been married for years. They've got a bunch of kids. They're really successful in whatever area they're in. And you get here and you immediately feel like you have to try to be that level of guy. And you're like, well, actually that might take you a decade or 2.
It took that guy a decade, right?
Right. Yeah. And so I think just patience and the ability to be like really, really consistently diligent rather than being in a rush all the time.
Yeah, no, that's good. My first thought was the theme of like reconciliation. And so I think that's something where I think in general, the church could get a lot better at this idea of like peacemaking and how to repent of your sins, how to forgive and how to be reconciled. But leading your wife in that and setting the example of being quick to forgive and being quick to ask for forgiveness and leading by example, I think is one of those things where you probably don't have a lot of fights. You probably don't have a lot of conflict before you get married, but then like week 2 of marriage rolls around and like you figure out how to fight about like dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And so figuring that out and walking through like biblical reconciliation and figuring that out and leading your wife in that and setting the example would be how I think that would be up there for me.
Yeah, that's really good.
What is the best quality in a friend?
Oh, she just put this in here because we've talked about it like 8 times already.
Oh, it's
loyalty.
100%. Yeah. When your friend calls you or when you call your friend at 2 a.m., you can tell he's a good friend if he says, do I need to bring a rifle or a shovel or both? Like that's the kind of like,
that's the guy you're looking for.
That's how you know, like
loyalty.
I have a good friend.
Whose car are we taking?
All right. Band of Brothers cast. who's your favorite? Captain Winters, Captain Spears, or Lieutenant Compton?
I'm gonna say the one that I don't know if this is probably not the archetype that I fall into.
Is it Sobel?
Yeah, exactly. It's Sobel. Of course. It's Spears for me. Probably because I'm just not particularly like that. He's just got an insane level of resolve and his ability to be a speed to action kind of guy and not need anyone's permission and never seek qualification for anything. He just sees what needs to be done and does it, is something that I admire a ton. Yep. And I see the deficiencies in myself in that respect. And so probably the one that I would want to be more like is Spears.
Yeah. I mean, you have that, the story about him, like radios are out and he runs like through enemy fire to deliver a message and then runs back through. And just like that kind of like true story, right? Like that happened. But then like with the men and with just everybody around him in Easy Company, they're like, they get built on. And like, that was a truly courageous thing. And then the next thing you know, he's like just larger than life. And like all these tales and all these things about how he's like, you know, killing prisoners in cold blood and like, just like crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, that kind of thing is like just the courage and the decisiveness. And I think that's definitely, that would be my pick too.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought you were going to say Winters.
I love Dick Winters, but it's a tough question.
It is a tough question.
All right. They wrote, we have to ask this for Ben's sake. What is the most impressive animal that you think you could beat into submit or like kill? What's the most impressive animal? So obviously Ben is like giraffe, easy, great white shark, right?
I think he said bull shark.
Bull shark.
We'll give it to him.
All right,
but
bull shark.
Bear, an adolescent bear.
Yeah.
You know, standard stuff.
Yeah. So what would be yours?
I don't know. I've gone through this scenario a lot, and the thing that typically comes up in my head the most, because I think it's just the most likely thing that could happen, is like someone's big dog.
Oh yeah.
Like someone's pit bull or someone's, you know, Rottweiler or something like that.
Isn't it just like Call of Duty where you just...
Yeah. You just turn their heads and they die immediately. Yeah, that's how it works. And I honestly, the thing that pops in my head is like, would I have the willingness to like, because you're probably not, the chances of you just like choking out someone's Rottweiler is pretty small. Like you're just, I've got a big goofy golden retriever, and like being able to just manhandle him is not really easy.
Well, he's got like 30 pounds on you.
That's a good point. He's a hefty boy, but yeah, I'm like, would I have the willingness in the moment to just like shove my arm down this thing's throat until it's suffocated? Right. Like that's the thing that pops in my head. Probably someone's big, scary dog.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Have you ever broken up a dog fight?
I've been present for some dog fights being broken up, but I was really little, but they were like singed into my memory.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Like,
it's intense.
Yeah. And then you think about like a pit bull or Rottweiler or something like that.
I was there to witness, one of my uncles had a big, chocolate lab or black lab. And then, we had a big golden lab, and, our yellow lab, he was just like this, but he jumped on this dog and they went at it, and they were basically boxed in between two trucks at a campground. And my uncle and my dad were trying to pull them apart, and they were going nuts. And I was in the bed of one of the trucks, so I was pretty close, but I wasn't like in danger. And heart rate got pretty high. Yeah.
I think about that all the time, like in terms of threats, like in neighborhoods or in town, like somebody has some big pit bull, and like the odds of somebody like actually shooting your weapon inside city limits, I think it's against a dog more than anything else.
Probably so. Yeah.
Do you think you could take a gator?
Oh,
like not like the biggest one you've ever seen, like, but like a decent sized gator. The only reason I put that on there is because like it doesn't have arm. Like it's got these little stubby arms, right?
You know, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what odds would you give yourself?
A gator that is as long as I am tall.
Yeah.
I don't know. If we're on land,
we'll say like,
land, I don't know. Like I don't have any tools.
No, they said no weapons. for you.
Yeah, I don't know if you're killing a gator
nobody has
without
any
weapons.
Nobody has any weapons. You or the gator.
Yeah, like good luck. I mean, I don't know. Someone dumped about an 8-foot gator on our road when I was growing up. We drove by on the way home and saw it, and then like got out and took pictures and stuff with it. That like even just touching one, the density and like the thickness of its skin, is just nuts. Like it's like a tank, but with a giant mouth with a bunch of teeth. And
I don't know if you could choke it out.
I doubt it.
Yeah, probably not.
I doubt it. I've seen someone, allegedly, I've seen someone skip a 9mm bullet off of one of them's foreheads.
Yeah.
And it didn't react at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm taking a gator with my bare hands.
All right, moving on. What's your favorite book or passage in the Bible, not just verse?
Book, probably Job. The display of God's power and him just sort of pulling the curtain back a little bit and going, really? Do you really, are you going to approach me like this? Do you know who you're talking to? Mm-hmm. And just his description of himself to Job. And there's a ton about that book that I really, really enjoy, but that's probably the first thing that comes to mind is the display of God's power, the poetry with which he speaks about himself, but also Job's faithfulness and his ability to endure suffering.
Finish well.
Yeah, probably Job.
Yeah, I think the transcendence of God is really highlighted there, where in a lot of other places we bring God down to our level and we think like, he's like higher than me, but like it's not that far. But like he makes it really clear at the end of Job. It's like you don't even.
We are not the same.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I had two thoughts. I love James. I love the book of James. This is why I named one of my boys James. It's what are the practical righteous actions of a Christian? This is not just thoughts or words, but it's like it's deeds. It's your belief put into action. And I think that that's something that for the Western church has been missing for so long. It's like we can agree in theory, but then it's like, okay, well, this is what we have to go do then. It's like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
And so I've liked James for a long time. And then lately, Psalm 139 has come up a lot. Ryan preached a sermon on this recently, and I've just been making these connections between these imprecatory psalms and this pietism and like the eschatology, and there's just, I think, a big gaping hole in Western Christianity where it might start with dispensationalism or like by default where we lose down here. But then, this pietism gets pulled in where it's like, because of that, this is how I need to act, and I need to have a loser mentality, and then my actions need to, should result in me losing. And that's a highest level of piety, for a Christian. But it just leads to, we can't identify friends and enemies. We can't make that distinction. We're not going to win. We're not going to do anything good. The best thing you can do is like get beat up and die, and then the good comes.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just tied together with like, if you don't hate what God hates, then you're at risk of being friends of the world, and that's enmity with God. And we don't realize how close we are to that, like being friends of the world, because we don't hate what God hates. We don't actually hate God's enemies. And just the inability to think in categories where you can hate what God hates. You can say with David, don't I hate them with a perfect hatred? But at the same time, you can pray the imprecatory psalm, and at the same time you can pray, God, destroy them or give them repentance and put them on our team, and be okay with whichever God in his wisdom chooses.
Yeah.
And I just think that's something where we tie together with, we don't know what God's going to do, whether it's, destroy them and send them to hell, or let them continue to, store up wrath for themselves, or convert them and change their hearts and make them an ally. But we think we're nicer than God and kinder than God and more loving. And like, if God didn't have enemies, hell would be empty. And like, it just really, like, as soon as you start pulling on this thread, it unravels how vapid some of this theology is.
Yeah.
But even the way that Psalm ends with David saying, see if there's any offensive way in me, lead me in the way of understanding, know my heart, test me and know my thoughts. Like, there's a humility there where it's like, I know this is like dangerous territory. I know this is difficult territory, but So like try me and make sure that I'm not sinning in, sinful anger and sinful hatred. But yeah, I mean, it's like, those that are in rebellion against God, we shouldn't have these problem passages that say like, well, I don't know how David could say, I have nothing but hatred for them. Like that's kind of icky.
Yeah. Ooh, that makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, that's really good.
Next question they wrote, if you were in the shootout in the OK Corral.
Dude, the gear shifts here are awesome.
What are you going for? 2 6-shooters, a double-barreled shotgun, or a lever-action rifle?
Well, we know that Ben Garrett is Doc Holliday.
Yeah.
And you give Doc the street howitzer.
That's right.
I'm probably going 357.
Yeah, go with the lever-action rifle.
I mean, as far as stopping power, speed, accuracy, I'm taking the lever action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've shot single action revolvers, and like, I would hate to be in a gunfight with a single action revolver. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you would shoot 6 shots so quickly, hit nothing,
hit absolutely nothing.
Like, be trying to reload. I'd go with a rifle every day.
Also, like, my ability to shoot offhand, like shoot with my left hand, not great. Like having two of them really. I mean, the only way that's helping me is that I don't have to immediately reload the first one.
Style points to the 2.6 guns for sure.
Sure.
But, for practicality,
I'm going 357
every day. What is one physical inheritance piece that every father should aim to give their son?
I feel like she's leading us on this one because shouldn't it be like a 357 lever action rifle?
I don't know. I mean, it's physical, right? It's not like inheritance of faith and
sure,
character and all that. But like, what's one thing that you want to pass on to Bex?
We talked about this a little bit in the EDC episode. I think it would be really cool for him to be handed down things that were used on a daily basis. So things like a nice watch and a nice pocket knife.
Yeah,
I think are really cool.
Like something that you used that he remembers you wearing, putting on every day, and now it's like enough quality where it's not going to like break before you're dead.
Yeah,
where you can pass it on to him and he can wear that and be like, "Yep, I got this from my dad. He used this knife every day or this watch."
I have one of my grandfather's little, it's not like some super nice watch. It's just a Timex, but it was his. And that's the kind of watch he wears. It doesn't even work anymore. That's why I have it, because he was like, I don't need this anymore. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want that, just because I knew that he wore it for a handful of years. And it means a bunch to me. Like you couldn't get someone to pay you $5 for it. Yeah. But to me, it means a whole lot. So yeah, I think something like that. Watch, pocket knife.
Yeah. Something that the categories I thought of were like that. But then, my goal would be to give each one of my sons a gun in these categories. So a carry gun, an AR, a 12 gauge, a 22 rifle, and then like a 30 cal bolt gun for hunting. And so you have the self-defense, you have the carry every day, you have the rifle, you have the AR, you have a 12 gauge target shooting, bird hunting, lots of things that you need a shotgun for. 22, is great for teaching their kids how to shoot, and then something to hunt with is like the kind of 5 areas that I think is like ideally I'd be able to pass one of these on to each of my kids.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
All right. Would you choose a POW Japanese war camp or being stranded and strafed in shark infested waters? So have you read Unbroken?
I haven't read Unbroken. I know the story.
Okay. So he does both, right?
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one, would you rather be in a POW camp in Japan or on a raft in the Pacific?
These are both awful, which is the premise of the question. But I think the POW camp is less hopeless than the shark infested middle of the Pacific Ocean being strafed by the enemy.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't like constantly strafed, but there was a scene where they had to go in and out because they're getting strafed on the raft, and then they get in the water and the sharks are trying to kill them in the water. So they have to get back in the raft and get straight. Like it's not.
I'm not picking that one.
Not picking that one. I don't know.
I also just have like there are not a ton of things like this that I have that are just like pressing fears. Like spiders don't bother me that much. I've caught snakes before, things like that like the normal fears people have. Really deep water makes my heart rate go up like significantly. And so just being suspended in really deep water out in the middle of nowhere.
Even on a raft or on a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you read the book and you read about their torture, I don't know. I think I'd be picking the raft.
You think so?
I mean, there's only so many things I can say right now, but you need to read the book and like think about where they put bamboo and like, you know, the kind of beatings and break, you know, suspension. And they would do this thing where they would shove a tube down their throat, force water into the prisoner's belly, fill it with water, and then jump on the belly and force it out and cause it to rupture. Like stuff like that. Like, and that's like, you know, the day one.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'd pick the POW camp.
Both are pretty bad, it sounds like.
All right. Jumping back and forth into like very serious and very unique questions. Specifically, daughters need to be shown blank from their fathers. So we both have daughters. What do daughters need to be shown specifically from their dads?
I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think?
I think I had two thoughts, affection and words of affirmation. And I think the affection is like a universal one for me. It's like I have to be intentional with praising her and words of affirmation. But I don't know. It was one of Doug's books on family or standing the promises or something. But I think he has an anecdote in there about if he ever goes into somebody's house and like the little girls are like getting up on the laps of other men, he knows immediately like there's a problem with the father not showing that girl enough affection or attention kind of thing. So I try to be, you know, my daughter's 8. It's wild, right? It feels like she was just born.
Yeah.
But I know it won't be that long until she doesn't want to sit on my lap anymore. But like any time that she asks me to pick her up or sit with her, or read with her, like I try to really make a concerted effort to show her, you know, affection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I that was going to be basically the same answer for me. It was going to be adoration and lots of loving affection, which really boils down to a lot of time just attention, like just paying attention to her. This is one of those things that men really have a hard time with, is like you enter into a conversation and you're like, oh, I love this person. And then they start talking and you're like, I don't care at all about anything that you're saying right now. And you have you have to distinguish between like loving the person and loving this particular like conversation or whatever is going on right there in the moment, and be able to understand that part of loving your daughter might be listening to her tell you all about this story that she made up earlier that's completely incoherent.
Yeah.
Right. And like it's seeing the opportunity for beauty in those situations and understanding that this is exactly who she should come to for this.
Yeah.
She's come to you for a reason. She's looking for a particular thing in return. And if you don't give it to her, she's going to go look in the wrong places
she's
for
going
it.
to find it somewhere else. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Let's see. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? It doesn't have to be the most unhinged.
We should probably talk about Charlie Kirk at some point, but I don't currently believe any single portion of the mainstream narrative around that.
We definitely should. I mean, it's so hard though. Like that's one that's like, I don't know what I believe, but I know whatever the mainstream, it's the guy on the roof, the tranny and the 30-06 and the rifle in the wood. Like I know that's completely like made up.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't believe that, but what the truth is, like, I don't know that we'll ever know.
Yeah. I doubt we'll never ever know either. The boys were talking about 9/11 during the workout today. And one of them was like, all right, what's the big deal with this? Like, why is it such a big deal? And we kind of went over the basics of like why it was a big deal to not believe the mainstream narrative there. And, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where that we got to that point in the conversation where you're like, yeah, we probably won't ever know.
Yeah. It's interesting. Very recently, Tucker apparently has done a documentary or a series on this. There was another one called, somebody sent me called Codex 9/11. Like very recently, a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's new stuff or stuff we've seen, but kind of like just questioning the mainstream narrative on that. But
I think my dad actually sent us the one from Tucker just a few nights ago and was like, this is a must watch. You need to see this. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I have also heard that was really good.
Yeah. too busy catching up on The Office.
Yeah, we watch like an episode and a half a night and then fall asleep midway through and then wake up as the end credits are rolling. And you're like, I don't know where we left off in that one.
Here's mine. Have you heard of the red night vision in Vietnam?
No.
Have you heard about this one?
No.
Apparently, and I don't know if I believe this, but it's interesting. They were like testing night vision flying in Vietnam, and you know how it was like green and now it's like white phosphor, but like originally supposedly it was red. And these pilots in Vietnam saw all these demons flying like right around the like canopy level, like because they were, you know, whatever the spectrum was, and they could like see the demons. And so they like canceled the program. They turned it green and like, no, you shouldn't see the demons. Like,
whoa. No, I've never heard that one.
I don't know. All right, next one. A man's not a man unless he blank.
Man, that's big. Very open-ended. One of the guys in the church came up to me this past Sunday and was like, man, I feel really called out. Like, I never carry a pocket knife. And now I didn't know this, but apparently I'm not a man. After the EDC episode, that's one of the first things that comes to my mind is really basic stuff like that. Like, do you have the stuff that you need? You know, can you open a box without having to ask somebody else for a pocket knife right now? Those are the first things that come to mind. But the next big one that's like a little more meta is self-awareness. That's one of the biggest differences between what we would classify as a boy and a man is the ability to be self-aware.
Yeah.
And know actually where you are in the hierarchy, where you stand, and then what you need to work on due to that self-knowledge.
Yeah.
No, self-awareness is probably pretty high up there for me.
Yeah. No, that's really good. I said if he can protect his family, a lot, like almost every man or a lot of men will provide for their family, but the ability to actually protect your family against whatever, all threats, foreign about like whatever the thing is, like very few, I think, actually consider that important. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something that I would like guys to focus on is can I protect my family?
Yeah.
Have you guys gotten to the desert island episode of The Office?
No.
Okay. There's an episode. It's when Ryan like burns a pita bread and they
oh no, we did watch that one.
So this question is based on that. It's a desert island question. What are the 5 things that you want to have with you?
Right back to a pocket knife. Probably a full tang like fixed blade actually, if we're on a desert island.
Okay.
Something to filter water with.
Okay.
I think that having some sort of like small forest axe would be really helpful.
Yeah, I asked. It has to be things you can carry on your person. So
okay.
Like a boat was not something you.
Yeah, I was about to say, a cruise ship.
All right, axe, knife, water filter.
Some sort of fire starting, like flint and steel.
Flint, matches, lighter.
Yeah, something that I can use to sustainably start fires.
Okay.
And then probably some kind of like twine, some sort of rope or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Do you remember what Dwight said?
I don't.
Physician's desk reference, hollowed out inside, waterproof matches, iodine tablets, beet seeds, protein bars, NASA space blanket. And if I get bored, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. No, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
All right, what are your 5 desert island essentials?
Mine are very similar. So I picked magnesium fire starter because it doesn't, like, you don't run out of matches, run out of fuel. Space blanket. Have you seen the AR-7? It's like that Henry survival rifle. It's a 22. So, you know, I said a desalination device. Mm-hmm. So I assume it's like a tropical island of salt water, and then Bowie knife. So very, very similar.
Pretty similar.
All right, next one. Assuming faith in Christ is a given, what is the top virtue that a man should look for in a wife?
Man, the swings in these questions. It's great. What's your answer on this one?
I said submission, and basically the idea of like obeying, submitting when you disagree, and looking to what is the relationship with the father? Does she respect her father? What does that relationship look like? Is that healthy? And then, that being able to forecast, like, will she look to you to lead? Is she a strong, independent woman that don't need no man? Or is she one that's like been raised in like Christian faith is a given, but like within that, like, is her father the head of the household? Does the father kowtow to the wife? And so just looking at that relationship and how he has raised his daughter and what the relationship between his mom or her mom and dad are like would be one of like, is this going to be something where it's going to be a healthy, functioning Christian marriage?
Yeah. I think in particular, the thing you said there about what is the relationship like between her and her father is particularly important. This basically will come down to, because we live in such a feminized world, like if she doesn't have a good relationship with her father, or at least doesn't respect him and look up to him, admire him, the likelihood that she is going to basically just kind of despise men in general is pretty high in our modern world. And so I think that one's really, really big. But I think in general, I don't know why we're so allergic to this today, but like beauty. Like, do you actually find all of her being to be beautiful? Like, I obviously physically, but also I remember the first time I ever talked to my wife on the phone and heard her voice and like looked at my buddy in the passenger seat and was like, her voice is like beautiful.
I'm going to have to say something really nice about Paige now.
Well, that's just like one of those things that like it overcomes a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you actually like the person and you're not just checking boxes and going, okay, they meet this qualification, they meet that one, they check all these boxes. Yeah, that's all great. And all of those things are good. And I think your answer is absolutely true. But you should genuinely find the person to be beautiful.
Yeah. And even like the speech itself tells you about them. Like, are they a loud woman? Are they quiet? Do they have quiet spirit? Like that there are external clues to tell you about what their spirit is like.
Yeah.
All right. What is your go-to karaoke song?
The Bird Hunters by Turnpike Troubadours.
That's a great one.
We sang that one at church karaoke not too long ago.
My other one is Wagon Wheel.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
I like doing Wagon Wheel. Do you have a favorite quote from one of your children that you can share?
There's a ton of good ones. When Layla was really little, she said snacks all the time, but she would just say the word snacks. And then but it was like a request, but out of the blue, she would look at us and she'd be like, Nax. No S, just Nax.
Neely had a similar, she was saying Nas, and that was her snacks. Yeah.
Snacks. Currently the favorite is that my son thinks that his name is a descriptor for him, not just like his given name, but like, hey, how are you feeling today? I'm Bex.
Are you a good boy?
I'm Bex.
No, I'm Bex.
No, I'm Bex. And he like anyone, you can ask him anything like, hey bud, you sleep good? I'm Bex. He just like, that's how he answers, which is maybe the most confidence I've ever seen in a human being for absolutely no reason, but it's pretty funny.
Have you shown him like Guardians of the Galaxy?
No.
I am Groot.
I'm Groot. Yeah. He's like that.
I am Bex.
I'm Bex.
I thought it too. They're both from Gus. When he was younger, he could say thank you or thanks, but before that he would say towel. and that was his thank you, towel. But then he got to the point where he could say thank you, but then to be lazy, he would just say towel.
Yeah. And
then Paige is there trying to correct him and say, no, say thank you. And he would say thank you. And she would, bring my dinner or something. And I would say towel. And then it became a thing where she's like, he's like, Dad, we say towel.
We say towel. You know the program.
He also had one where he said, Dad, when I grow up, I'm going to fly the A-10 and bomb the Japanese.
Where in the world did he get that?
There are so many other ones, but those are the favorites. What's your favorite weightlifting exercise?
Man, that's tough. I really, really like the power clean. It's probably my favorite. Like if I haven't done them in a while and I grab a barbell and we're going to power clean. I genuinely get enjoyment from the movement.
Yeah.
There's lots of other stuff that I enjoy just because like I happen to be decent at it.
Yeah.
And moving a bunch of weight is fun. But as far as like picking one movement and going, I really like this one because I just enjoy it, the power clean.
I said hang clean. I've never really power cleaned because the difference is like from the ground, right?
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
I've never power cleaned.
No. That you, I wasn't expecting us to pick the same movement.
I think it's a great exercise, like full body's involved. Like there's some technique involved. I think where, some other lifts, like it's relatively rudimentary, but there is some technique. So, favorite drink of choice?
What's yours?
Old fashioned.
I would rather have bourbon neat than an old fashioned. When we were in Texas, we drank a lot of Shinerbach. That was like the go-to beer. If you were grabbing something to go to somebody's house on the weekend or something, we would grab Shiner. Here, if you follow the Brutal American account, you've probably seen quite a bit of Coors Banquet. So
2 or 3
every now and then.
Do we have Shiner out here?
You can find it at certain stores. It's just not as readily available, and it tends to be more expensive because it's coming all the way from Texas.
Yeah.
So,
what do you tell your wife is the most important thing in building the hospitality of your home? I had 3 thoughts.
Go ahead.
Cleanliness of the home, I think, shows forethought. Like it goes into like making people comfortable to, happy to be there, and like not like I'm invading this like
war zone.
Exactly. Like, and so I think that's like, nope, we have our stuff together. We expected you to be here. We're happy that you're here. And like, we put some time into like, cleaning the skid marks out of the toilets before you showed up. Like, and then, disciplined children, disciplined attitudes, I think is another thing where, you don't want your kids to be the worst ones behaved when you have somebody over. Like, you don't want to have to be constant. Like, if you need to go discipline them, like you have to, but they, if you're practicing it the other 6 days of the week, I think that's another thing to strive for. And then, plenty of food. Like
just enough food.
Enough food. It doesn't have to be the world's best meal or the most fancy thing, but like just there should be leftovers. That means everybody got to eat as much as they chose to.
Yeah. I would say just general warmth to add to that list. I think those are all 3 really, really important practical things that you can work on. But just general warmth. If you walk in and someone is obviously excited that you're there is one of the biggest things. I think a feeling of like general warmth and gladness and joy that your guests have arrived. Obviously, if that goes with well-disciplined home, well-ordered, clean, and then you've got a whole bunch of food for them to eat, I think you have like kind of the perfect recipe for hospitality. If you have those first 3 things, and then you also kind of are like sour and it feels like you're going through the motions, or like you're doing this because the pastor said you need to. And so, well, we're glad you're here. Let's eat. Hopefully you can leave soon. Like that's not great hospitality. So the only thing I would add would just be joy.
Yeah. 100%. That's great. Who's your favorite character in Narnia?
Who's your favorite character in Narnia?
My first thought, there's so many to choose from. My first thought was Trumpkin.
Trumpkin's really good.
The scene where he says, he's like giving his advice and he says, I know the difference between giving advice and taking orders. You've had my advice. Now it's time for taking orders. It's like the guy that knows the times, knows what time it is and can do both, right? Can give the king advice, but then also can say when he's vetoed, like, okay, yes, sir.
Yeah. Aslan, obviously. That's
there you go.
Cop-out answer.
Jesus Juke.
Yeah. My favorite book is The Horse and His Boy. I really like the combination of characters between Shasta and Bree.
Yeah.
Both of their characters are really good. The arc of their characters throughout that book is my favorite arc in the entire series, probably. So
yeah, no, that would be up there top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Salsa, guacamole, or queso. The way the question usually goes is like, if you could only have one for the rest of your life, would you pick salsa, guac, or queso?
I'm going salsa.
Guac.
Really?
Every day.
Your wife's going to be mad that we didn't say queso.
She's the only one I've ever met that ever. I don't know. I like queso. I like them all. I like them all.
I like them all too.
But yeah, I love guac.
I can eat chips and salsa by the cubic foot.
Next one. True or false? Would I rather be loved or feared? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me. But the actual question is, in all seriousness, should children fear their fathers?
Probably not the normal answer, but I think yes, to an extent. And it obviously can't be an unhealthy fear, but I think that there is something very valuable about your children having that small panic when they hear the timbre of your voice change. And I remember that being like, that was a very pressing thing that I remember distinctly from my childhood, is just like my dad saying my name from the living room or from the next room or whatever, and me knowing, oh boy, like what? Like you start rewinding the last 48 hours trying to figure out what it is that you did. Or you already know exactly.
You already know, because like it just happened. You get the look from dad.
Yeah.
And like your conscience convicts you, his look convicts you, and you're like, this is bad.
Yeah, I think in the same way that it's righteous to fear the Lord, to a lesser extent, and obviously a much scaled down version, like it's righteous for a son to fear his father in the right way.
No, that's definitely an interesting way to put it, because when we talk about the fear of God, like it's a complex thing, right? There's a worship aspect, there's a majesty aspect, there's a like literal, the way we use fear today. Like it's more complex than just like sheer terror.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think we talk a lot about winning our child's hearts. Mm-hmm. And I think that's super important. I think we absolutely have to do that. But I also think if we put the cart before the horse and try to win a child's heart before that fear is instilled, because respect comes with that as well. And so if you don't have that respect of the authority and the fear that comes along with that, the odds of winning a heart are probably slim.
I think that one of the biggest aspects of that fear is the fear of disappointment.
Yeah.
The fear to disappoint your father is a really, really heavy tool in the hand of God to work people towards sanctification. And I think that that's part of what I mean when I say, yes, you should fear your father, is like, I fear the repercussions, especially when I'm small, of like what might physically happen to me if I act like a fool out in public. Well, I'm going to get a belt. I also fear his disappointment, that he would look at me and have shame.
Right.
I also fear all of the corrective things that are going to come, like all of the teaching that I'm going to have to go through when I act in a way as if he hasn't already taught me these things.
Right.
And like, I have to teach you this lesson again.
Yep.
All of that part is like reverencing and fearing your father.
Right. No, that's really good. If you could have an unlimited supply of one thing, what would it be? I mean, I think the answer is easy. Unlimited wishes.
Obviously.
Game's over.
I don't know. She said, given I know the answer is ammunition, you can only pick one caliber.
That's fine. I still wouldn't pick ammunition.
I don't think I'm picking ammunition
either. I would
either.
pick gold, and I'd buy as much ammunition as I want.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, I'm just going to have an unlimited amount of money.
Unlimited Bitcoin. I don't know. That might be work against you, but
I mean, unlimited funds would be my answer, because then I could have unlimited of whatever other material thing that I needed.
What's one of your favorite holiday traditions? So, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter.
I like Christmas in particular. I love the season of Christmas. I love the warmth in a home, or in the church, even here when it's cold outside and you come in and it's warm and it's bright. I kind of just like the entire season, honestly. The amount of reasons that you have to just get together with people that you care about and hang out. I pick Christmas as well. A couple things come to mind. Trying to focus on the Advent season and the time leading up to Christmas, and like being able to read through, all the stories and all, stuff like that. Like I like that, as it kind of draws it out. And even like my wife puts on Christmas music at the 1st of November. Yeah. Like, which that's fine. But yeah, the Advent season is one that, you can kind of like get geared up for it. And it's not just like a very quick flash in the pan. Like it's a drawn out celebration. Specifically, my family always did surf and turf on Christmas Eve. So that's something we've kept doing. My biggest thing though is
if we get Christmas gifts, I try to open them or like have the kids open them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Like if all the gifts are open before Christmas Day, like that's a successful year.
That's funny. That's usually the opposite. Usually people are like making everyone wait.
You have to wait.
You have to wait.
Yeah,
you have to wait. You have to wait.
All right, Tate, you're elected president, and what are your top 3 priorities?
Deportations, women voting. Those are the first 2 that come to mind. I don't know. What's your third?
Yeah. So deport all the enemies of the state. I would declassify everything the CIA has ever done. And then I think 19th Amendment is a great one. I think death penalty for abortion is a great one. You know, some of these things could be tied together in like one big beautiful bill.
Sure.
But
One thing happens and then the others begin to fall.
Yeah. But I mean, the first thing is like all of the enemies, all the domestic enemies got to go.
Yeah, I think that's also probably top of the list for me.
If you could add anyone to Mount Rushmore or take off, who would it be? So Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, and Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Right. So would you add somebody or would you take somebody off?
I don't know on this one. If you were going to add somebody, who would it be?
I would add Jackson, and I would add Stonewall Jackson.
You would add Stonewall Jackson?
And I'd remove Lincoln.
Okay. If there was going to be one that I would remove, it's Lincoln. I didn't have a good answer for who I would put up there, but I like Jackson.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
What is the worst piece of advice you've ever heard or been given?
Probably, I don't know, one of the cliche ones, follow your heart, happy wife, happy life.
That's a good one.
Probably something like that.
Mine was wait to get married, wait to have kids, travel, be married, enjoy your time being married, and don't have kids. Like that was a ubiquitous advice, like for a lot of time before we got here.
Yeah.
And that's like stupid.
Yeah.
Like
I received, my wife and I both received a decent amount of advice like that. I would agree.
Get married, have kids right away, have a bunch of them. When people ask you for help, what do they usually need help with? Like what's the thing that people are looking for your advice, counsel?
Around here, especially, it's fitness related stuff, weight loss, getting stronger. What do I need to do in the gym? How do I need to be eating? Things like that.
Yeah.
Typically.
For me, it's when people want to buy guns, they come talk to me.
Yep.
Do a lot of counseling. Child discipline has been one that's been really good and really beneficial. Sometimes family worship, but a lot of book recommendations like, hey, what's a good book on this?
Yeah.
What is one skill that you think every adult should have?
This is going to sound dumb, but I remember one of the seasons I was in Colorado, I worked for a landscaping company, and I worked with this guy one day who I normally didn't work with. And we were leaving and cleaning up for the day, and I was throwing stuff in the back of the truck, and we had a bunch of stuff, so I needed to, throw a cover over it and ratchet strap it down. And he was like, "Oh, you know how to use a come along?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "You're the first person at this place that I've met that knows how to use a ratchet strap."
Wow.
I didn't know that was possible. So yeah, you should know how to tie stuff down if you're going to like move furniture or like be able to do anything.
You should know the important skill to be able to like smack it and say, that's not going anywhere.
Exactly. If you can't like pop the strap and then go, yeah, it ain't going nowhere.
I thought obviously being able to do a standing backflip would
that's pretty high on the list too.
Like every adult should be able to do that.
Obviously.
No, punctuality and common courtesy. That's mine.
Those are good.
All right. This was an interesting one. What's an impressive talent or skill that most people don't know you have? I wrote one for you. I didn't write one for me.
All right. What'd you write for me?
That you're a world-class axe thrower. Like, I don't think most people know how talented you are at throwing an axe.
At one point in time.
I mean, still today, right? Like those records don't go away.
Yeah, I guess. I was a youth national champion knife and tomahawk thrower.
Knife too.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Not a giant pool of competition, but it was something my dad was like, "Hey, this would be cool." We knew a guy in our church when I was growing up that was super into it and like ran one of the local clubs and hosted this giant knife and tomahawk competition every summer. I think it was during the spring. and we were actually in the Guinness World Record book for like the largest gathering for some sort of like knife and tomahawk throwing competition or something like that. I don't know if it's still the record, but at the time it was the record. And
we need to
someone come.
We need to overlay like a picture video that your mom has of like this event. Like maybe the gold medal ceremony or something.
Yeah, I still have some little plaques and stuff at my parents' house back in Texas.
Mrs. Taylor can help us out.
Not all that useful, knife and tomahawk throwing.
I mean, until you need it.
Until you need it, I guess. If you have a Patriot situation on your hands and you got to be able to throw an axe, it's useful. My answer would probably be skiing. Like I'm way better at skiing than I am at throwing knives and tomahawks.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those things that's like doesn't come up very much. But it's fun to see the reactions on people's faces the very first time you go ski with them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, you're an excellent skier. Like I've skied maybe once, like since being out here, like maybe once since college. But you're the best skier at the church, but it's not something that comes up a lot unless you're like, hey, let's go skiing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good answer. I don't have one for that one.
Nothing.
I think if you're good at something, like people know you're good at it. So like I don't have any secret like
you don't have any hidden talents
that I'm like I can recite the Gettysburg Address, Latin or something. I don't have anything. All right, last one. We'll wrap up. What is your favorite hobby for each season? So I think like spring, summer, fall, winter. Like
so obviously winter skiing. I love skiing. Spring. I don't know. Spring and summer, probably even fall, probably all going to be pretty similar. But like here lately, golf,
it's been
golf, tennis. I really like trail running, mountain biking, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Similar, skiing in the winter, golfing, when it's appropriate to golf. I really enjoy the tennis we've been playing lately. Look forward to that. Fall would be duck hunting. We go elk hunting and deer hunting and like, it's fine and enjoy it to some extent, but I have a fox red lab named Hondo and taking him out. Really looking forward to that again this year. So
yeah,
should be doing more of that. So
excited about some duck hunting. Yeah, should be fun.
Yep. Sweet. That is the end of the questions. That took way longer than I anticipated.
I had a feeling. I saw 43 questions. We just worked through 43 questions in one podcast. That was a lot.
Yeah.
We will do a couple of our personal favorite, I guess, Brutal Americans type stories in the Brutal American Show in the after hours. So if you haven't checked out the Patreon, definitely go check that out. Right now, if you sign up for the All Access Patreon, you get a free Brutal American mug. So definitely go check that out. It's growing a lot. The conversation's been a lot more lively in there recently. We just put out a video today, actually, as this is being recorded, of a range day breakdown that we did recently. So lots of stuff going on in the Hardman Patreon. Definitely go check it out.
Yeah, we also have a Q&A coming up. So if there's something that you want us to cover, talk about, drop it in the Patreon chat. We have a Signal chat, but comment on it. But we'd love to see what questions you want answered, what things you want addressed.
Yeah, hopefully this has been somewhat interesting. I don't think either one of us are particularly apt at like talking about ourselves for an hour and a half, 2 hours. But our wives came up with some really good questions, so shout out to them. And hopefully this is helpful.
Yeah, I will close with saying nice things about our wives. Like they're some of the best women that we know. Like they're some of the they listen to all these episodes and they give us feedback on it and they help rate these questions. But they're excellent women. They're excellent mothers and wives and take care of the home and just we don't worry about what's going on in the house. Like we free us up to do all the stuff that we need to do during the day. So just they're. Plug for Paige and Des, really excellent wives.
Yeah, a good wife is more precious than rubies. So yeah, 100% agree.
Yeah, amen.
All right. As always, stay frosty, fight the good fight, act like men.